Please welcome abortion care physician Dr. Sujatha Prabhakaran.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sujatha, Dr. Sujatha Prabhakaran. My pronouns are she, her. For almost 14 years now, I have been honored to serve as an abortion care physician at Planned Parenthood of Southwest and Central Florida. On behalf of all abortion care workers, the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare assistants, and staff who work day in and day out to make sure patients get the care they need here in Florida, thank you. It is so meaningful to see our community show up here today and to be joined not only by great leaders from our movement, but by an incredible champion for reproductive rights, Vice President Kamala Harris. We have all traveled through rain, on buses and planes, and piled into our own cars to join together in this space to commemorate Roe v. Wade and our right to abortion, which was stolen from us last summer. Since the Dobbs decision, my colleagues and I have felt heartache over and over again. We must tell patients that we can't give them the care we are trained and qualified to provide. They understand that we want to help, and they don't blame us, but they know that they no longer have control over their own bodies. And for those of us who have been marginalized for so long, people who can become pregnant, people with black or brown skin, people with lower incomes, or who don't speak the dominant language, or have differing abilities, the loss of our reproductive freedom has told us we are less important, less valuable, and less safe. I do my best to alleviate that feeling in my exam room as I counsel and hold the hands of my patients who travel from across the Southeast for care they should have been able to access in their own communities. Sometimes that comfort is all I can offer. Recently, I cared for a patient who learned at her appointment that she was close to our state's gestational age limit. Because of Florida's forced waiting period, I could not give her the care that she needed that day. And in fact, after that waiting period expired, she would have been too far along to get an abortion in the state of Florida. Because of that, she needed to figure out how to care for her 9-month-old baby while traveling to another state, potentially putting her job, and with it her ability to feed her child, at risk. There are so many people like her who experience the unnecessary harm and pain that comes with being denied the basic health care they need. And that harm falls on our whole society. That is why it's so important that we not lose hope. In fact, we must build it. We must continue to show up for our communities, and we need leaders who will support us in our fight for true reproductive freedom. Leaders like Vice President Harris. As an abortion physician, it means a great deal to me to have a vice president who, for her entire career, has stood up for my patients, for my fellow providers, and for all of us. As an abortion care advocate, I admire Vice President Harris's commitment to listening to experts, the healthcare providers, the social justice leaders, legal experts, and the legislators who are on the front lines of the fight in our states. And as an Indian American woman, it means that I could tell my 3-year-old daughter that I was coming to introduce a vice president who is half Indian, just like her. Those are such powerful and inspiring words, just like her. And as they say on Family Karma, if you know, you know. So proud to have Auntie G in the house. So it is my incredible honor to introduce an amazing human who knows, just like we all do, that healthcare is a human right, and that, say it with me, abortion is healthcare. Welcome and thank you, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Where are you? There she is. She just left the stage, but is always on the stage. And we love all of our frontline folks. And this room is filled with them. Good afternoon, everyone. It is good to be back in Florida. And Tallahassee in the house. So before we talk about the subject for which we are all convened, I do want to address the tragedy of what happened in my home state in Monterey Park, California. A time of a cultural celebration, and yet another community has been torn apart by senseless gun violence. So Doug and I joined the President and Dr. Biden, and I know everyone here, in mourning for those who were killed, as we pray for those who were injured, and as we grieve for those many people whose lives are forever changed. All of us in this room and in our country understand this violence must stop, and President Biden and I and our administration will continue to provide full support to the local authorities as we learn more. And with that, I want to address another topic, which is the reason that we all join together today. I am honored to be with members of the United States Congress who are here, state and local elected officials, I'm glad to be with you, and all of the coalition partners who are represented here. Let's give it up for everyone. So we are here together because we collectively believe and know America is a promise. America is a promise. It is a promise of freedom and liberty. Not for some, but for all. A promise we made in the Declaration of Independence, that we are each endowed with the right to liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Be clear, these rights were not bestowed upon us. They belong to us as Americans. And it is that freedom and liberty that enabled generations of Americans to chart their own course and decide their own future with, yes, ambition and aspiration. Therein lies the strength of our nation. And since our founding, we have then been on a march forward to fully realize our promise, to complete the unfinished work to secure freedom and liberty for all. Now, these outcomes will not be inevitable. They will not just happen. It takes steadfast determination and dedication, the kind of determination and dedication possessed by some of our greatest patriots, those Americans who fought a civil war to end the sin of slavery, who organized at Seneca Falls to secure a woman's right to vote, who launched the Freedom Rides to advance civil rights, and spoke out at the Stonewall Inn to defend human rights. In each of these movements, those leaders expanded rights, which then advanced the cause of freedom and liberty. And 50 years ago today, so did those who won a fight in the United States Supreme Court to recognize the fundamental constitutional right of a woman to make decisions about her own body. Not the government. For nearly 50 years, Americans relied on the rights that Roe protected. Today, however, on what would have been its 50th anniversary, we speak of the Roe decision in the past tense. Because last June, the United States Supreme Court took away that constitutional right, a fundamental right, a basic freedom from the people of America, from the women of America. The court's action has meant already that many dedicated doctors and nurses now lose their ability to care for their patients. That providers risk going to jail just for doing their job. And that patients are denied critical care and even fear that they will be punished simply for seeking care. It has meant that a 10-year-old child in Ohio who was sexually assaulted and became pregnant had to leave her home state and travel to another to receive care. It has meant that the doctor who treated her faced death threats and efforts to take away her medical license. And for Amanda, a 35-year-old woman in Texas, it meant in the midst of a miscarriage, she was denied treatment 3 times in 3 days at an emergency room because of that state's abortion ban. And only after she developed sepsis, an infection that almost killed her, did the hospital finally admit her. Thank God, Amanda survived, and she, with her husband Josh, is here today. And I want to thank them both for having the courage to tell their story in a way that will inspire so many individuals and their families to know they are not alone. The consequences of the Supreme Court's ruling are not only limited to those who need reproductive care. Other basic health care is at risk. Consider Emma, a 14-year-old who lives in Arizona. So Emma manages her chronic arthritis with medication that allows her to go to school and live without constant pain. But the medication that helps her can also cause pregnancy loss. So within weeks of the Dobbs decision, her pharmacy initially refused to fill her prescription, afraid that they could be prosecuted under the state's radical law. All of these devastating experiences, the direct result of laws designed by extremists, including in states like Florida. Last year, so-called leaders at the State House here in Tallahassee passed a radical abortion ban with no exceptions, even for the survivors of crimes like rape and child molestation and human trafficking. Here in Florida, healthcare providers face prison for up to 5 years for simply doing their job. And now, the state has also targeted medication abortion and even threatened Florida pharmacists with criminal charges if they provide medications prescribed by medical professionals. And Florida is not alone. 22 states have announced they will not follow new federal rules that allow women to get medication prescribed by their doctor from a certified pharmacy. Imagine. So today, we are fighting back. I'm pleased to announce that President Biden, I'm announcing it today, has issued a presidential memorandum on this issue. Members of our cabinet and our administration are now directed, as of the President's order, to identify barriers to access to prescription medication and to recommend actions to make sure that doctors can legally prescribe, that pharmacies can dispense, and that women can secure safe and effective medication. So President Biden has done that. At the same time that we work to protect this aspect of reproductive care, many states have gone even further and now have total bans in effect. Alabama, Missouri, and South Dakota, just to name a few. And as clinics close in those states, understand, as clinics are closing in those states, patients have lost access to other basic care, such as routine checkups, cancer screenings, and contraception. And to everyone listening, be sure no one is immune from these impacts. Even in states that protect reproductive rights like New Jersey, Illinois, Oregon, even then people live in fear of what might be next, because Republicans in Congress are now calling for a nationwide abortion ban. Some even from the moment of conception. The right of every woman in every state in this country to make decisions about her own body is on the line. And I've said it before and I will say it again. How dare they? How dare they? And you know, there's a collection of words that mean everything to us as Americans. The heartfelt words of our great national anthem, that America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. But let us ask, can we truly be free if a woman cannot make decisions about her own body? Can we truly be free if a doctor cannot care for her patients? Can we truly be free if families cannot make intimate decisions about the course of their own lives? And can we truly be free if so-called leaders claim to be, quote, I quote, on the vanguard of freedom, while they dare to restrict the rights of the American people and attack the very foundations of freedom? Understand clearly, the majority of Americans oppose these attacks. Americans of every background, in every community, have voiced their perspective. From Kansas to California, Michigan, Montana, Kentucky, and Vermont. They spoke with their vote. In essence, they said, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree that the government should not be telling people what to do with their own bodies. So know this, President Biden and I agree, and we will never back down. We will not back down. And we know this fight will not be won until we secure this right for every American. Congress must pass a bill that protects freedom and liberty. A bill that protects reproductive rights, and President Biden will sign it. So yes, America is a promise we must all make real. In every state, in every community, in every state house, in every doctor's office, and yes, in every election. So to all the friends and leaders, I say, let us not be tired or discouraged, because we're on the right side of history. So we will continue to stand together in the fight to protect the freedom and liberty of all people, of all women everywhere. And here now, on this 50th anniversary, let us resolve to make history and secure this right. Today, I invite all Americans to join us and to remember, when we fight, we win. Thank you all. May God bless you and may God bless America. Thank you.